Hello guys, this is Modest Major here, bringing you some commentary over some 57 and 5 Ricochet gameplay. It's a fairly long gameplay, it's around 10 minutes. So, as a result, I'm not going to commentate over the whole thing. I'm just pretty much going to commentate until I run out of things regarding the topic for today. The gameplay itself is pretty decent. I've had a lot of gameplays like this stored up on my hard drive, like, high-scoring gameplays that have really long time limits. I mentioned in the past that I don't really like having long videos. I feel like they kind of get a bit drawn out, and I start to lose steam towards the end of these kind of topics. But I'm going to try and put some music in towards the end to keep it entertaining so you can watch the gameplay if you feel like it. If not, I won't be offended. But it's another Simplex gameplay. Like I said previously, I have so many Simplex games saved up at the moment. It's kind of ridiculous, so I've got to get rid of a couple. There's a couple of cringe moments in this gameplay as well where I just screw up, to be honest, and my connection has been being pretty questionable as usual, you know, same old, you've heard it all before, but whatever. So today I kind of wanted to talk about a Halo 5 beta, and I'm pretty sure a couple of other commentators have talked about this. I know Receding Hairline Man recently made a commentary on the subject. But I feel like it's something that, at this point in time, kind of needs to happen, in my humble opinion, in order to make sure that Halo 5 is on the right track. Now, when Halo 4 released, I have to say, in my honest opinion, it almost felt like a beta, to be honest. There were a couple of things that shouldn't have really gotten past testing. It wouldn't have gotten past testing if there was a beta. For example, I feel like the DMR being as dominant as it was shouldn't have gotten through. Stuff like the bulk shot being really, really powerful. The balance between the automatic weapons, like the suppressor, was pretty much useless to some extent. And I feel like, and same could be said for the carbine, they just weren't a sufficient power level. And a lot of the variety in the game, there was very little variety in the game. I mean, the low amount of maps almost felt like a beta. I know they had around 7 maps, I believe. The Team Slayer options for maps were just terrible. It was like Haven, Complex, I believe, but Complex wasn't a particularly good one. I don't think that's even... I think it is an Infinity Slayer, but it doesn't work amazingly well. It's a little bit too on the big side. Then you got Solace, which is a little bit big as well. It's not ideal for 4v4. And yeah, just a lot of these maps didn't necessarily strike a chord with a lot of the players, and there weren't many of them to begin with. You know, if you're not going to have many maps, they kind of all need to be home runs, and I wouldn't have necessarily said they were home runs. I don't usually rag on this game much, so I don't feel bad about being critical in some areas, because I feel like that's just making sure that I'm not being biased. There were definitely problems at launch, and they did work towards fixing these, but I feel like if we were to release a Halo 5 beta early, maybe we wouldn't have to have any of these problems to begin with. And to be honest, I feel like the negativity towards the Halo scene and the Halo community and how few people are playing it right now, we need to nail it from day one. We really do. And another thing is, it almost makes it feel like they've kind of got something to hide if they don't do a beta, because, you know, every single Bungie game, starting from Halo 3, and Halo 3 did it at a time where pretty much no one else was doing betas at the time. You know, public betas, especially on the console generation. So they were really open and upfront, and it fostered a really nice relationship between the community and Bungie. And 343 not doing that feels like they're kind of closing off a lot of their game design processes to us, and they're not incorporating us. And considering how open and upfront they've been since the release of Halo 4, I think it would be a shame to not continue that. You know, furthermore, like, we're getting at a point where we've almost had a COD cycle with Halo 4 in terms of its popularity. You know, COD has always been one of these games that has been famous for being popular for the first couple of months, and then people get sick of it really quickly. And that's pretty much what happened with Halo 4, and the negativity just kind of spiraled pretty quickly. And I feel like, you know, if they don't do something soon, like a Halo 5 beta, which I feel like would be the perfect opportunity to get people back into the game and investing time into the Halo franchise, if they don't do something like that, the popularity is only going to continue to fall down. We're seeing big names leaving the community. Ninja has just put out a video saying, you know, he's not going to do Halo 4 anymore, and me personally, I kind of saw him as the face of Halo 4. So seeing something like that, and then we're going to see other community members, and the negativity is, of course, at an all-time high. So we really need to put ourselves into a position where You know, we're not just in limbo, we're not just in stasis waiting for Halo 5, and then only a lot of the diehard fans will actually pick up Halo 5 and give it a try. We need to keep that loyalty, and I feel like Halo 5 Beta needs to kind of come out with a bang. And if Halo 5 Beta doesn't happen, I don't know, I don't see how it's going to get the initial sales figures that maybe Halo 4 started off with, because I don't see how anyone, you know, I feel like most people's reactions to Halo, if someone brought up Halo to them, to the average gamer, they'd be like, oh yeah, Bungie don't even make the games anymore, do they? It's some rubbish company, I can't even remember who it was. I would imagine that would be people's reactions, because the amount of hate, the amount of negativity, and just, well, it's usually just disinterest, I find, amongst most people. It's not that they say they hate the game, it's just like, well, I just can't be bothered. COD is so much easier, you know. And I feel like Halo just didn't necessarily know what target audience they wanted, because you can't go somewhere in the middle of Call of Duty and Halo. You kind of have to stick to one, because otherwise you're going to end up with a second-rate Call of Duty if you try and take too many Call of Duty elements. And why not just play Call of Duty? Or if you're going to want a fully-fledged Halo experience, you're not going to want something that slightly chips away at that mechanics. Like I said, I love the game, and I'm just talking about at launch. I'm not necessarily talking about now, because now I feel like this is a pretty solid Halo game at this point in time. But at release, they definitely didn't know what their target audience was. It was kind of an awkward transition into the gameplay that they were looking for, and the balance wasn't necessarily where it should be. But like I said, just having that open beta will make sure that the game itself feels like a proper game, and the beta is something separate to that. Whereas I don't want to go into Halo 5 and it feels like the Halo 5 beta, and maybe 6 months down the line this game will be where it needs to be. And I just don't think they can do that at this point in time. Like I said, the popularity for Halo 4 is not where it should be right now, and not doing a beta, I almost feel like would be taking a huge risk, and the game would have to be spectacular to be able to get away with that. It would have to be amazing. Anyhow, that's pretty much all I wanted to say on the matter. I have been Modest Major. Hope you guys enjoyed watching the commentary. Peace out.